All right, everyone. Well, it's that time of the year once again. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays. It's that time of the year again to look back at what I think the best movies, video games, most underrated movies, and of course looking forward into next year. But first things first, what I think the best movies are. Yep, top 10 plus a few honorable mentions. So here we go. Number 10. Minions, The Rise of Gru. Okay, well, for those of you who think the Minions series has definitely kind of lost its touch, it's gotten a bit repetitive and stale, not to worry. This one is actually a really good sequel to a prequel, the one that came out in 2015. And yeah, the continuation, all the pop culture references, considering this takes place in the 70s, I'm assuming, because, well, he goes to see Jaws in theaters. Yeah, that's one of them right there. The Minions are just as funny as ever, and the whole, you know, Sinister Six or whatever it is, the villainous crew, it was a really clever idea. The fact that he's trying to join them, and obviously they turn into the villains of the movie, the whole Minions learning karate, and Alan Arkin's character, who he voices, I thought was really likable. I mean, he's always likable in just about any movie he's in. And yeah, I thought the film was very amusing, very funny, and, well, it's a Minion movie. So, bottom line, if you think the Minion series has lost its touch, give this one a shot. It'll definitely renew your faith in it. Trust me. Number 9. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I apologize, I've been very lackluster on most of my movie reviews and everything like that, especially with the MCU and DC universe, but to keep it short, sweet, to the point, yes, this was a really good MCU film, and you could complain that the MCU has kind of lost its touch since Endgame or Spider-Man No Way Home, whatever you would consider, but this one is a great continuation, and, well, also you're probably wondering how the hell this is going to be done, how it could be possible without Chadwick Boseman since his passing. But not to worry, they did it right. And, well, not to spoil too much, you probably already know they have his character killed off, so not much to say there. But that was the respectful way of doing it rather than just replacing him. And they did a beautiful dedication to him at the beginning and end of the movie, as to be expected, kind of how like they did with Stan Lee at the intro with Captain Marvel. So, yeah, for nearly 3 hours of runtime, you could complain it's a bit long, but the action's really good, the characters are very well liked, and it continues on the story with a fantastically done villain and backstory, which is very relatable, and you can sort of see where this is going. So, yeah, a great story, which you may complain has been done to death before, but don't worry, it's probably one of the best MCU movies because, well, why do you think it's on this list, right? There you go. Number 8, Scream. Well, or Scream 5, whatever you would call it. Yeah, the sequel reboot, which I already did a review of earlier on this year, and I don't have to say much more. Just go check it out. But to keep it short, sweet, to the point, yes, this is a fantastic sequel reboot continuation with some new characters brought in, as well as some returning cast members from the original films, which carries on the legacy. And, well, it's not stopping, obviously, but yeah, you could complain it does some familiar elements, but it brings in some new ones, and, well, it's a Scream movie. There's not much more to say. Ghostface lives on, and it keeps you guessing who he or she is. That's all it boils down to. So, all I can say is, this is my favorite scary movie of the year. At least one of them. Number 7, The Bad Guys. Yes, from one animated movie to another, Universal and DreamWorks, I gotta say, they put Disney to shame. Not to crap on Disney, but I think we can all agree they were pretty lackluster with their animated movies this year, and I think DreamWorks and Universal and Illumination kind of really stepped all over them, especially when making money at the box office and just making straight up better movies. And this one is no exception. Of course, we've seen this done before with animals as the main characters, but with this one, it does it right. Obviously, they're the bad guys. They're trying to become good characters. And it's a very clever concept, which we have seen done before too. But with the voice casting and story and some surprises, which you may complain are a bit predictable, and the animation is gorgeous, don't get me wrong, it works on so many levels. Almost like kind of an animated animal version of Ocean's 11, if you can call it that. So, if you're very skeptical on this one, give it a watch. Trust me, you won't be sorry about this one. It's got great animation, great characters, great action. Give it a go. Number 6, The Batman. Already reviewed this one. I ain't got much to say. This is Matt Reeves' reboot interpretation of the Caped Crusader, Dark Knight, whatever the hell you would call him. And yes, to answer your questions, the Twilight actor himself does pull it off. Not flawlessly, but the atmosphere, everything about this just pretty much is Batman all the way through. Yes, it's a 3-hour movie, which there are some parts that can be a bit long, but it's a thinker movie. It's a detective movie. And that's all it really is. It's, a film noir type of action comic book-ish movie. The Penguin I thought was really well played by Colin Farrell. I didn't think he'd have it in him to do so, but with the CGI or whatever makeup work they did on him, they did fantastic. Paul Dano did great as the Riddler. And of course, you have all these other characters like Carmine Falcone and Catwoman. It just works so well in all aspects, and not to be compared with the Dark Knight trilogy or anything. Yeah, like I said, this is a reboot. It's standalone, non-DCU type of film. It's just a different interpretation of Batman, and despite being 3 hours long, it works. Trust me. May not be for everybody, but in my opinion, I enjoyed it. Number 5, Black Phone. Yeah, another horror film, but more of a mystery type of thriller, a real thinker movie. Just go check out my review for it, and I ain't got much to say about it. The kids did a really great job. Basically, if you don't know the story, it's about a young boy who gets held hostage inside of a soundproof basement by some creepy stalker kidnapper who, keeps kids in his basement, which he's done several times before, and other kids from the past somehow contact him through a broken phone and give him hints and advice on how to escape from this guy played by Ethan Hawke, who did a fantastic job as a devilish looking type of kidnapper, killer. And yeah, that's what he does. It's kind of like Silence of the Lambs a little bit, with a lot of thought. And of course his younger sister, who plays a big part in the movie too as well, did a great job. And it's just all over the place, but it makes sense though. It's all about friendship. It's of course a thinker movie, like I said, but that's where it comes into play. It's all about other kids helping him escape. And that's what you really want to see in this. And that's what it does. It's got a great old school vibe, being that it takes place in the 1970s, a lot of great old school music, and I like that kind of style. So definitely check it out. My opinion, best horror film of the year, if you can consider it that, even that it doesn't rely too heavily on jump scares. It's more about the thought process and just straight up, it's a mystery. That's all it boils down to. Number 4, Elvis. Okay, I apologize, being that, yes, I had this on my most anticipated list of movies from last year, and this year, of course, being that it suffered through several delays, as far as I know, of course, with Tom Hanks getting COVID during filming in 2020 down in Australia. Thankfully, he's okay. And all I could say is, yes, this movie is fantastic. Yes, it's nearly 3 hours long, and there could be some parts you could nitpick, and a couple of slow scenes, and a couple of backstories, which are necessary. I mean, there's nothing wrong with showing, it's a bio about Elvis Presley and how he came to be, mostly during his adult years, and how, of course, the Colonel becomes his manager. And all I could say is what really sticks out is not only Tom Hanks as the Colonel, but Austin Butler as Elvis Presley is the one who did absolutely a fantastic job. I mean, he stole the show, and my God, he deserves an Oscar for this performance. He already got nominated for a Golden Globe. Give him an Oscar, because really, he is the king of rock right here. No doubt about it. We all know how it's going to end. I mean, and I like the, transition from when they show the flashback scene of him during his last performance, from him, Austin Butler, to the actual Elvis Presley. Nice touch there. But all I could say is the music is great, the backstory, you could nitpick a few historical inaccuracies, but hey, it's a Hollywood movie right here. But give it a watch on HBO, HBO Max, Blu-ray, whatever. It was worth it. So all I could say to the director is, thank you very much. Number 3, Avatar, The Way of Water. Yes, after over 10 years of having to wait for this sequel, and this one is obviously fresh and new in theaters, so I'm not going to give much away at all, because that would be an injustice to anybody who's really dying to see this one. And, so far it's obviously made a ton load of cash at the box office, just like the first movie. And you're probably wondering, is it really worth the wait? Oh, obviously it is if it's at this spot. James Cameron is no stranger to sequels. I mean, come on. Aliens, Terminator 2. There's nothing to say here about this one. Yes, it's over 3 hours long, just like another one of his big hit movies. But was it worth it? You bet your ass it was. I mean, the characters are great. You got Sam Worthington who makes a return, and of course several other actors and characters who make a return. But I won't spoil anything because, like I said, it would be an injustice. The bottom line is it's action-packed. The characters are great. The CG and scenery is just gorgeous. Go check it out. Believe me. It's something you definitely got to see, at least in IMAX 3D or Dolby. Anything that you can really get the full theatrical experience. This is what this movie needs to be seen on the big screen. Believe me, it is worth it. Number 2, The Fabelmans. Yes, another big Spielberg masterpiece that, well, in case you don't know, is actually based on his childhood. Yes, I'm not kidding. But not to give too much away, basically it takes place in the 1960s, I believe. Across a couple of many years, from when, and it focuses around a young boy who grows up, and it's a coming-of-age story about how he gets into filmmaking, and surrounds his family, and, his parents, and, of course, his father's best friend who comes around with them a lot, goes on trips, and it's just a great experience of a movie. It's hard to explain, but it must be seen. Even for a 2.5 hour runtime, it's just such a likable story, and it shows the magic of filmmaking and what it can really do on, family and everything like that, what effect it has. And the family's just so well liked. I mean, you get into the story so much, and that's just what makes this movie so great. The performances, especially out of Paul Dano, Michelle Williams, even Seth Rogen. Yeah, surprising. I mean, you're used to seeing him in raunchy comedies, but in this kind of movie, I didn't expect him to pull off a role so good. But overall, Spielberg did a fantastic job depicting basically his whole childhood right here. I'm not sure if it's 100%, but from what I've heard, it's pretty accurate, and all I gotta say is, well done, Spielberg. Well done. Alright, before I get into number 1, a few honorable mentions. The Northman. Yes, a rather dark but gritty and action-packed take on William Shakespeare's Hamlet, which of course takes place in the Viking era, about a young boy who watches his father get killed by his evil uncle, and of course the mother's played by Nicole Kidman, and as he grows up he swears vengeance on him, and well, yeah, you could complain there's a lot of slow parts, a lot of weird parts for say. You got Willem Dafoe who does a great job, you got of course our main character as an adult played by Alexander Skarsgård, and he does great. So even for over a 2 hour runtime, it's kind of a shame this movie didn't do too good at the box office, but give it a chance. It deserves it. I mean, I understand not many people were into seeing this, but I gave it a shot. It's not for everybody, but I think with the cinematography and the special effects and everything like that, it just got that real Viking type of atmosphere to it, that real type of gritty look and feel to it that just is right. It's done right, and that's just all it boils down to. Smile. Yes, I already did a review on this for my Halloween Horror Fest this year, and I ain't got much to say about it. It's a great psychological thriller, very effective, kind of a mix between The Ring and It Follows. The main character is obviously has the main focus, and the jump scares are very effective, and it's very well entertaining. It kept me glued for pretty much the most part. So, there you go right there. It'll make you smile, but scare the shit out of you too. Chippendale Rescue Ranger. Okay, this is kind of a cheat, but it's on an honorable mention spot, so I think you can cut me a break being that it's a Disney Plus exclusive, and a very good one too, actually. I was really skeptical seeing how they were putting an old show, Chippendale Rescue Ranger, which I grew up watching a lot when I was a kid, and yeah, it's self-aware of what it is. I mean, yeah, there's some movies that work with this whole animation into live action, and surprisingly, this one does. You got the 2D animation with the Chippendale characters and 3D. And it doesn't stop there. There's a whole shit ton of characters thrown in there. From Disney to Universal to freaking... You got Randy from South Park cameo. It's like Roger Rabbit. But let's face it, nothing could ever top Roger Rabbit when it comes to mixing up trademark characters or Wreck-It Ralph. But this one definitely tries. And the references are so amusingly hilarious and the story is so good. And it works on every level that it shouldn't have. This shouldn't have been a great movie, but it surprisingly was. My favorite joke was probably the Seth Rogen with all the characters he voiced in the same scene. I mean, how often are you going to see that in a movie? So, yeah, if you like Roger Rabbit, definitely give this one a watch. It may not be that great, but it's worth at least one watch. I especially loved, of course, the Ugly Sonic. That works on so many levels. So, like I said before, give it a watch. Believe me. If you have Disney Plus, this one cannot be missed. A Christmas Story Christmas. Another one that's also not theatrically released or on TV. It's on HBO Max. So that's the only way to watch it, unfortunately. And you're probably wondering, what, another Christmas Story sequel? Yes. Forget about that crappy 2012 sequel called A Christmas Story 2 with Daniel Stern as the father. This is the one you want to watch, which I was skeptical at first. Believe me, I was like, why would you ruin A Christmas Story again? How dare you? But they knew for a fact they can't top the first one. Nothing ever will. Not even any of the other sequels that came before that crappy direct-to-DVD sequel can. And yeah, they were smart. They put effort into this one, bringing back the original actor who played Ralphie and all the other characters, except for the mom, obviously, but I think we can let that slide. Yes, they obviously have the father character killed off, and that was a respectful thing to do because, of course, the actor Jaron McGavin has passed away several years ago from natural causes, but, like I said, they did it in a respectful way, and they acknowledged that you can't replace him. And that's what this is. It's a respectful follow-up with plenty of fan service and nods, and it doesn't just rehash. It basically plays as a sequel, and it acknowledges that, and it works. Ralphie's trying to write a story, and he has a hard time, and basically it has a lot of similarities, but not rehashes. So, bottom line, give it a watch. It's a sequel. They're aware of it, but it's definitely worth a watch. If you have HBO Max, that is. And the number one best movie of 2022 is Top Gun Maverick. Yes, that's right. One that I actually didn't anticipate for this year, even after 2 years of delays. And I gotta be honest, I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I just thought of it as kind of a cheesy 80s movie, which I understand has its fan base, and it is watchable. I mean, if you like scenes with him flying around, and it's just a product of the 80s. And, well, that's why I didn't have much hope for this one, especially being that this is what they're doing a lot of, what's making sequels to a lot of these old movies to bring in a bit of nostalgia. And, wow, this one surprisingly is better than the first. Believe me. I mean, the flying scenes, the characters, Tom Cruise is great, and, well, of course you got a lot of new actors in there. They don't bring Meg Ryan back, unfortunately. Instead, it's a different actress. Jennifer Connelly, to be exact, as the girlfriend. But, of course, you got Val Kilmer, who makes a cameo. You got, of course, some newcomers, like John Hamm. You got Miles Teller as the son of Goose, who, as you know, died in the first movie. And, well, okay, there is some nostalgic factor to it that they put in. You know, some reenacting scenes. He plays the song Great Balls of Fire, which is a nice touch. I'll give them credit to that. It may seem a little slow at the start. You know, you got to build up a lot, and, of course, their main mission and everything like that. But, man, when it gets to the flying parts, it's so good. I like the addition of the Who song, We Don't Get Fooled Again during that. That was really great. And, of course, it does go over 2 hours, but it certainly didn't feel like it. It was just an entertainingly good time, and it was a great escape from anything that's going on. I mean, trust me, it was worth every dollar to see this one. So I could safely say, if there's any sequel that outdoes the first one of a film that I wasn't too crazy about, this is the one. And it was well worth seeing it on the big screen, and I feel bad I didn't see it in IMAX. But otherwise, that's my list of what I think the best movies of 2022 are. Till next time, keep watching.